Gunshot survivors of Reddit, what does it feel like to get shot? Right thigh, 9mm, grazing shot across the front of the leg about 4 inches above the knee. It plowed a channel of skin and some flesh off the front. It felt searing hot, like someone had laid a hot piece of metal on my leg for a second. Then, the pain went away for a while until the adrenaline wore off. It honestly hurt worse 6 hours later than it did when it happened. Wild, this is the exact description of the first gunshot wound I ever saw on an EMT ride-along. It wasn't caused by a dumbass at a shooting range who turned his gun sideways to look at it with his finger on the trigger and shot the guy in the next lane, was it? That's why I don't go to indoor ranges anymore. Outdoor ranges with action bays. Lanes with strangers is a recipe for idiots to hurt someone. I was randomly shot while walking down the street with my girlfriend in 2013. I didn't fall to the ground or anything like that. Walked into a store and told them to call the cops. It didn't hurt too bad at first. A slight pinch. The heat builds up and the pain comes in. Some throbbing as the blood pumps out. I was extremely lucky as the bullet lodged between my lower right ribs in the back just above my kidney. The aftermath was a really itchy back. What I remember most was how everyone around me except for my girlfriend just walked around us like nothing happened. I was suffering and potentially dying and everyone just ignored it. Not my problem, I suppose. I lost a lot of faith in people that day. Where? Buffalo, NY. Do you know who it was that shot you? Nope. Never caught them. Detectives didn't seem too interested since I lived. Seems like a tough case to crack. Random shot, no one saw it, you don't know of anyone with motive. Nope. That's why they didn't really care. They paid me for my ruined things and the victim's fund paid my medical bills, so at least there is that lol. I know BPD though, I knew they wouldn't really care. I mean, at least you know what to expect the next time you get mysteriously shot. I got shot in the ankle when I was 10. Honestly, I thought a rock hit me. Just a slight stinging feeling. Didn't really hurt, I even kept running with my bike. Later at the hospital was a different story. The doctor tried to remove the bullet without putting me under. He said the pain medicine would make me forget everything. He gave up after a few minutes of hell. And, whatever he gave me didn't work as described, but it did oddly make everyone look purple from what I remember. So maybe it half worked? Lol. Probably ketamine. We give to kids because we don't want to put to sleep because pain is temporary and dead babies are forever. Just didn't give you enough to disassociate. A trip to the ER is how we found out my daughter was allergic to ketamine. My daughter broke her arm and they gave her ketamine to set it. She said a few funny things and then started to break out in hives, pretty quickly. Luckily it never got worse than just the hives. After an hour or so the hives subsided and all her vitals remained good, but the ER doctor said the next time she gets ketamine in her system it could be much worse. Yes, so tell every medical professional that she's allergic to it. Sometimes they can't save you once you have a bad reaction. Yay, I am aware to always mention it. Also, now that she is a teenager in high school, we also had the talk that she should never ever take Special K. Dang, that's whack, that cereal is frickin' delicious with those strawberries. I was hit twice during separate tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. The first time the round caught the armor plate and felt like I had been hit with a baseball bat. It knocked the wind out of me and, when we got back to base I had a huge bruise on my chest. It hurt to breathe for a few days and getting dressed was a fair, but I got light duty during that time. The second time a round clipped the side of my neck. Now that one really hurt and there was a lot of blood, think of your worst Razor Nick X10, but the pain was cut by the adrenaline. Hashtag X200B, edit, since some people have asked. Number 1, it was probably a 7.62 by 39 round. AKA an AK bullet. You could sneeze and find an AK over there. Number 2, body armor is made to stop bullets, not absorb or shed a bullet's kinetic energy. In simpler terms, not vibranium. Number 3, I did receive a Purple Heart for the second hit, not the first. As Gunny put it, you want a medal for a little ouchie? That may not be verbatim, but it was close to 20 years ago. The ducking luck you had, dude. Shit. Glad it wasn't worse, even as bad as it was. Luck? He got 2 shots in 2 wars. 2 of 2. Could be worse, could have been shot once in 1 war. My GF was shot, not me, but she said it felt hot like impact but not particularly painful until much later. She was in shock, went to the hospital. After hours she said it started to hurt. This was my response too. It feels incredibly hot. It's like getting hit with a bee that's on fire. It burns like duck. But then, and only later, does this fucking hurt. The part 2 is that you might think you understand pressure, but get shot. It doesn't just hurt, it mashes into you. I didn't really feel either of mine until about 10 minutes later. Took a grazing shot off my left arm and one in the right hip that went out my back, thankfully missing my kidney. The arm felt like a bee sting, the hip knocked me back a step, the adrenaline at the time masked the pain. What was the context of the shots? I was in the 75th Ranger Regiment that landed at the airport in Panama. I worked with a doctor who was telling us about getting shot in the finger in a Panamanian conflict when he was a ranger. He said it was hands down the most pain he's ever been in, and it just got the tip of his finger. Lots of nerve endings in your fingertips. I chopped off the end of my finger with an axe last year and surprisingly wasn't that painful. Definitely a lot of arteries there though because it was squirting. Yeah, I cut off 2 fingers with a lawnmower. Really didn't hurt that bad tbh. When the nerve blockers wore off while the surgeon was clipping my bones back, that sucked pretty bad. Phantom pain was the worst part. It took a while for my brain to accept that those fingers were gone. Severe cold hurts worse than the incident itself now though. A good friend of mine got hit with a ricochet from a 9mm that hit his calf. There was drive-by about a block down. He was outside of the bar smoking a cig when it happened, ran inside and felt his leg burning but decided to keep drinking. He had about 3 more drinks before someone mentioned he was bleeding. Went to the ER absolutely hammered and was fine after surgery. Smoking kills. It hurts like someone stabbing you with a sword that was heated up. What does it feels to be stabbed by a sword that was heated up? Probably a lot like getting shot. Shot twice. Second one resulted in separation from the army. The first was in my armor piece, no penetration, but it felt like I was kicked by a horse. The second one was into my pelvis and it's the worst pain I ever felt, and I still engaged in combat for the next 45 minutes before I could safely be moved back. 1010 shitty. Separation from the army as in that caused your military career to be over? Yes. It's okay. I was going to make it a career. I just had to adjust, life is all. Dang, sorry to hear that. Hope all is well now. Besides some serious TOA that onset at 34, I have no complaints. Thanks for your well wishes. I was shot when I was 9. I didn't feel anything at first because my mind was in fight or flight mode and my only focus was dialing 911 and saving my mother. I only started feeling the immense stinging burning sensation when I was loaded into the ambulance. I want to say it's as if you had a hot iron shoved through you. I was shot with a .45 caliber. I survived multiple gunshot wounds, one shattered my elbow, it swung in the wrong direction, and another damaged a nerve, rendering me being unable to move my foot up along with loss of feeling throughout my entire leg. 2. My mother unfortunately passed away at the scene. I'm doing well now, although I still deal with PTSD, it's much less. This was over 11 years ago that we fell victim to a home invasion. The perpetrator was caught and has life in prison, no parole. I had the option to choose the death penalty, however, I felt I would have been cheated if he didn't have to suffer. So sorry about the loss of your mother. No one should lose a family member that way. I'm glad you made it. I was shot during a home robbery. I'm probably one of the luckiest people alive. The bullet, no joke, scratched my cheek and then went through the top of my ear, and also a bullet grazed my wrist and opened it up. I didn't feel anything but just liquid running down my face and my wrist was burning. Scariest night of my life, and rip Christian. Miss you so much, buddy. Here is proof. WeCron.com authorities said Burke and Brandon Fries, 21, fought the suspects for their guns, which were fired during the struggle. The 2 masked men fled, and investigators initially did not have any information about which direction they went or whether they escaped from the scene by car. Both Burke and Fries had been shot and were transported to Herman Memorial Hospital in Katy. Burke was pronounced dead upon arrival at the emergency room, less than 4 miles away. Duck. Did you know the guy who tried to rob you, or was it a random thing? He kinda knew my roommate at the time. My friend Christian and I did not know him. It wasn't exactly random, although everyone involved is not talking still. I really still do not know the true motive. The shooter is in prison for the rest of his life without parole. Capital murder. He also got the shit beat out of him that night. Could have killed him but let him crawl out the door. He got kicked in the face plenty of times. My roommate was also able to take his gun from him and pistol whipped him a few times. 357 Magnum. I don't think movies can portray how truly intense a moment like that is. Fight or die. I was choking out the second guy, then I got shot by the main guy while choking the dude. Shot at me from like 3 feet away. I have no idea how he did not blow my brains out. A 357 Magnum bullet literally scratched my cheek then hit my ear. I think about it every single day still, and that happened in 2015. Damn. Sorry for your loss. Take care of yourself, buddy.